Great, thank you. So we want to talk about services and aid that is available for our agricultural listeners out in the hurricane hit parts of the U.S. Can you start us off with kind of an overview of what is available for them?
First, let me just start off by saying our thoughts and prayers are with everybody that's been impacted by what is clearly a devastating storm. USDA wants to be a partner to our customers out in the countryside, and we're going to do everything we can to be as helpful as we can. We don't know the size of the losses yet, but we know they're enormous. We're going to do what we can to make sure we've got the staffing and the programs in our Farm Service Agency to serve farmers. We're announcing today some ways to streamline and provide some emergency provisions on our risk management agency, our crop insurance, and our conservation programs are an opportunity to do some debris removal and other things. So we've got lots of opportunities to serve folks in agriculture. We're going to do everything we can to be helpful.
And are you able to go into detail on some of those things that are being announced today?
Yeah, so on the crop insurance side, we're making some of the loss procedures a little bit easier. So we're providing more flexibility that make it easier for folks to begin the process of getting indemnity payments. We already have a lot of producers that we know that have hurricane and tropical storm coverage. Generally takes 2 or 3 weeks to get the data on that. Once that data is available, we'll push to start to trigger some of those payments. We're doing a lot of work on the Farm Service Agency side. We're reducing the requirements for loss documentation by farmers to make it easier for them. We know that it's a difficult time. They may not have paperwork, so we're going to try and be as flexible as we can on them reporting their losses for all our programs. There's some programs that require inspections. We're gonna waive some of the requirements there as well. And so for programs like the Emergency Conservation Program that can help folks with debris removal, we're lowering the barriers. Same thing on the Emergency Forestry Restoration Program. Tree Assistant Program, we got a lot of pecan orchards and orange groves down. Again, we're going to be as helpful as we can. We know that we'll have a big demand on folks who don't have crop insurance through our NAP program, which can help those producers. And again, we're trying to make these programs as easy as we can. The other thing I would say is we know there's going to be significant demand in our offices. So we're going to surge staff. We're already starting to move staff around in some of our states, and we're going to surge staffs to places like Florida to make sure we can account for the demand that we know will come.
I wanted to ask about your staff because honestly, a lot of your staff was affected in these areas as well. So you have additional staff coming in to not only help them with their jobs, but help them get back on their feet as well?
Yeah, there's no question. The really good news that all our staff is accounted for, and we're very happy about that. We know many of them have been impacted by the storm as well. John Litz, our SED, our state executive director in Tennessee, has suffered his own losses on his own farm as part of that. And we know we've got a lot of staff like him who have suffered significant losses. So we're going to try and be as helpful as we can to our staff. And that's another reason that we're going to need to surge staff. So in a place like Georgia, there's some parts of the state that weren't affected. We can move staff around. But even with that, we know that we're going to have to bring staff from other parts of the country, both because some staff are going to have to deal with personal issues and their own recovery, but also because we know we're going to have increased demand. So we're already planning for that, and that's going to be an important aspect of what we do. And this isn't something that we can plan over weeks. We have to plan this over months ahead to make sure that we can provide some proper response here.
And I was on the FEMA call earlier this week as well, and there was talk also of streamlining things. And you mentioned some of those efforts to help things move along more quickly in this process for those affected producers. Can you go over again some of the processes that are being streamlined in this case?
Yeah, I'll give you an example. So one of the areas is how farmers are required to document losses. That becomes very difficult because it's hard for us to get staff out to a lot of farms. So we make the procedures easier here, some self-certification, other types of things that allow us to document the losses more easily. Another thing is there are some programs in the Emergency Conservation Program where we may be replacing fencing or doing some other aspects that don't have a lot of ground disturbing or other activities. we can reduce the requirements for analyses or other analyses before we move forward with those. So we're reducing some of the requirements there. And then there are programs like ELAP, where we can work with livestock producers to provide either forage or water, or our LIP program, where we can help compensate for the losses of livestock. Those things, again, we can make easier procedures around documentation and make sure we got the flexibility there to cover the needs of our producers.
So for producers on the ground there, what is the best thing that they can be doing right now to help? The word prepare comes to mind, but that's not quite the right word, but to really help in this situation to get things moving on their end.
One thing is they can document their losses as best they can. Pictures, other receipts, whatever they can do. So that's an important thing, to be able to do the best job they can. Again, we're going to try and be as flexible as we can. Second, they can reach out to our offices. So the vast majority of our offices are open. We also have, if you go to farmers.gov, you'll see on our website, we've got a hurricane relief information up there that they can look at and see what the opportunities there are for them. We also have the FSA call center. So if they just Google FSA call center, they can call FSA if they got questions, they want to be connected to offices or otherwise. We're going to work through our own offices. We're going to try and work with stakeholders, farm groups, and others as well, to make sure we get the information out as best we can.
Then I want to ask you if you could speak directly to the farmers there that have been hit by the hurricane, what's the message that you really want them to hear from you?
Most of all, I want them to hear that we care and that it is our job to be as helpful as we can to them. And we're going to do everything we can to keep folks in agriculture. We're going to use the flexibilities that we have in our program. And we're here to serve, we're here to support agriculture. And we know that this isn't going to be a week-long job or a month-long job. It's going to be years long, and we're in this for the long haul.